Good morning, Quadcopter 1 here, and what I got for you today is a review of the SkyRC D20G. Now, if you look at the D20G, you see it has an FPV transmitter on it, and it comes also with an FPV monitor. So that tells you right away, you know, this is an FPV quadcopter. It's a little crony class, you know, somewhere between a micro and a mini in size. Similar in design to the Mold King quadcopters, I believe. You know, it's the 33043. I can't remember the exact number, but it looks very similar to that. Other than that, yeah, it comes with a monitor. Now, this is an unusual looking monitor. I have not seen a monitor like this before. This one is shaped, it actually looks like a cell phone. If you look at it in here, it even has a camera on the back. If you want to take pictures, you can actually take a picture with this particular monitor. It's very unusual. But one thing about it, when I tried to actually bind this transmitter with my Boscam receivers, and none of them would receive the signal from this. Additionally, if you look at the length of this antenna from its base, where it really comes out of the base right here, the total length of the antenna is around 29 millimeters, which tells me, you know, this is being advertised as a 5.8 gigahertz FPV transmitter and receiver, and I don't know if that's actually true. This appears actually to be a 2.4 gigahertz analog system, which is not necessarily bad. You know, 5.8 gigahertz analog is your best if you want to do FPV flying, but 2.4 gigahertz analog is not too bad either. It will result in reduced ranges of both the quadcopter and the received FPV, but you won't get that those laggy start and stops in the video that you see with Wi-Fi FPV systems, digital Wi-Fi FPV systems. Also, you don't have that problem with apps, getting them started, getting them working on your phone, which can be very problematic with Wi-Fi FPV flyers. With an analog system, you just turn on the receiver and it'll start receiving the signal. Other than that, one other thing I noticed, let me mention that real quick before we go into the flight here. It comes with an SD card, 4 gigabyte SD card. It is also advertised as a 2 megapixel sensor and 720p video. Unfortunately, what is actually recorded onto this SD card is standard VGA resolution 640 by 480. So no, this does not provide HD video. The video you get from this is VGA 640 by 480. Let's see, what else can we talk about real quick before I put down the quadcopter and go into the transmitter? Is the battery appears to be a 600 milliampere hour CMAX 5C battery. So X5C batteries will work with this. Okay, let's talk about the transmitter. Transmitter is a standard type toy grade transmitter. The upper left shoulder button is for selecting the different rates. The upper right shoulder button is for selecting flips. There is a video and photo button. Unfortunately, these do not work with this particular quadcopter, and I'll show you the reason why. If you look at the control wire coming out from the quadcopter, you see red, black, and yellow. And yellow would be your signal wire going to the transmitter to tell it to turn on, or the camera to tell it to start recording and stop recording. But as you look, there's a second wire that goes into this that's only red and black. So there is no signal wire going into the transmitter, which means this button's inoperative with the quadcopter. To start recording, you have to use the phone. A signal goes out from the phone to the quadcopter to tell it to record, and that's this button right here. Let's see, what else do we talk about? There's one key return, which you activate by pressing this button here. Headless mode, which you activate by this button here. And again, this is a mode 2 controller, which means throttle is here, yaw is here, pitch and roll is here. Okay, let's talk about the receiver monitor. Again, I'm suspecting this is 2.4 gigahertz receiver. Notice that there is no antenna on this particular receiver monitor. Which makes me suspect about the range in this is probably not going to be very good, but we'll find out when we fly. There are 4 control buttons on this. This one is for turning on and turning off the monitor. You slide it to the right, turns it on, slide it to the left, and turns it off. This one is for selecting the various brightness levels. This one here is for selecting recording or playback. And I'll go into that in a second. And this one here is for selecting delete or taking photos. If you look on the side of this card, there's two input ports. One is for charging, and there's also a slot for an SD card. Now that got me excited, thinking, oh boy, I'd be able to record my received FPV monitor video, but unfortunately there is no recording capability with this particular slot. This is for playing back your video that you record onto that card there that goes into the quadcopter. You remove that card, slide it in here, and you can play back your video on this monitor. This monitor will play AVI videos. I don't know what other videos this would play, but it plays the AVI videos that come out of the quadcopter. Other than that, again, you know, I'm not seeing any antenna on this. One other thing I haven't mentioned yet, it has a camera, a built-in camera. So if you want to use this to take photos, yeah, it can. A very unusual shaped monitor. It looks like a cell phone. Feels like metal, but it's plastic. Okay, and also finally, I've mentioned this, it comes with a lanyard. The system comes with a lanyard for the monitor, but this thing is so light, there's no real need for this lanyard, so I am going to remove it and put it in my pocket for the flight. Okay, that's the description of the system. Let's go into a flight of the SkyRC D20G and see how it flies. Hope you enjoy this flight. First thing before we take off here, and this is a good thing to do with all new quadcopters, is find out what happens if the motor, or if it loses reception from the transmitter. So we're going to give it some power here, turning off 1001, 1002, 1003, 3 seconds it turns off so we don't have any flyaway issues. That's the first thing I wanted to know. Okay, now I'm going to prep it for its FPV flight. Okay, I have the quadcopter started. I've started recording. The red dot on the screen means that the quadcopter is recording. I got all cameras recording. Let me double check my hat cam. My hat cam is recording. Yeah, let me check the angle real quick on that hat cam. This is how I do it, folks, real quick. Using my cell phone. Okay, turning on the transmitter, binding it to the quadcopter. Let's send it up and away. First thing we'll do is get a video of the area. Nice and stable. Let's send it up high. Now the predicted range, it says, is 100 meters. I'm still getting signal? I'm still getting signal. This is actually working very nice. This is one of the lowest cost FPV quadcopters that comes with a kit or with a monitor built into it. Seems to fly very well. Let's bring it down low and do some low flights over the area. Flies very well. I don't know how that signal is coming in. Seems to be working fine. A little bit choppy. I see a little bit of lag. Makes me suspect that it is Wi-Fi, possibly. When you see that freezing up like that, it makes you suspect that it's Wi-Fi. Signal now. Coming in close, it works fine. Okay. Let's try the headless mode. Let's bring it over toward us. Going into headless mode. I press the button to the left. It's got a headless mode beep. Pushing out on the stick. Going sideways, outward. Hovering it there. We're going to try one key return. One key return returns. Careful, it returns very fast. It gets a lot of, what do you call it, pitch on its way back. So going out again, we'll hit the one key return again. I'm going to point the camera toward me. One key return. And again, all that does is fly backwards down the headless mode bearing. So one key return works and coming out of it. Okay, how about acrobatic flips? Let's bring it in a bit. Flipping. Pressing the flip button. Oh, left. Right. Okay, it does flips. Let's go to higher rate. Oh, Insegna coming back. Let me show you that. Very good flyer. Let's show that. Intermediate and expert. Very, very aggressive. Good flyer. So overall, you know, this is a low-cost FPV flyer. Where you at? How's that video doing still? Still recording. Okay, let's take it up high. Good flyer. Records well. 500 milliamp hour battery. Flies well. Going back to beginner. Doing a little slope. We're above about close to 100 meters right now, so the range is good. I don't know how the FPV is doing up there. I'm looking in my scope here. No signal. Okay. Okay, let's bring it back down to get some signal. Reducing throttle. So the range is good, but you lose reception at about, I don't know, 80 meters, 100 meters, close to that. We were up high. Let's go back to the flying of this thing. This, again, is a very good flyer. How's my reception? Is it still receiving? Yeah, I got signal now. Let me see, so you can see me in the sunlight here. In my tie-dye shirt. I got a lot of these tie-dye shirts. I got them from Erie, Pennsylvania. Every time I go to Erie, Pennsylvania, I buy a tie-dye shirt to support the local economy there. Going back to intermediate. No more flips. Lights are starting to blink. So, nice and maneuverable. Good flyer. Relatively inexpensive for an FPV flyer. But again, I don't think it really is 5.8 gigahertz. Unfortunately, nor is it 2 megapixel 720p video. But other than that, you know, for a system that comes with its own monitor and it also flies very well, it's not bad for the price. So overall, I kind of like it. Okay, I got to make sure I got that video. Let me stop the recording while I still got power. Stop recording now. And the light goes out. Okay, so now this was again a flight of the SkyRC D20G. Let me adjust its propellers, get my thumbnail for the flight. Make sure I get a good thumbnail with Owens Peak in the Wilderness. Actually, not a bad flyer. I don't know how good the range was or how good the FPV was. I wasn't viewing that. I was flying line of sight for most of this flight. But we'll find out in post-production here when I download the camera video that I had pointed at the screen to see if it actually is a good FPV flyer. And the reason I'm flying line of sight, folks, is I'm trying to keep my hat pointed at the quadcopter so you can see the quadcopter flying at the same time while getting FPV reception. Okay, it's Quadcopter 101, signing out.